1 Corinthians 12:22. On the contrary, those parts of the body that seem to be weaker are indispensable. My daughter hates me. My husband can't think of one nice thing to say about me. My parents think I'm a disappointment because I'm only a teacher. Everything I have ever endeavored has failed. I am the villain in my own story. I am 40 with no friends. I'm not smart enough, skinny enough, good enough. I am worthless. These are the lies that show up when my mind gets dark. At my worst, they're the gut punch that leave me debilitated, stuck on all fours, wondering if I'll ever breathe again. At my best, I'll admit, they're kept at bay, but never, ever really silenced. They come back unannounced in every forgotten library turn, every "I want daddy," every email I forgot to respond to, every expletive that leaks when the pressure rises. Did I mention I'm a Christian? Hi, I'm Johanna Walsh, and I have something to confess. I'm bad at Christianity. Full disclaimer, before you listen any further, I am what I would consider Matte, M-A-T-T-E, Christian. I've never been shiny in my faith, but I promise I'm a real, raw believer in the power of Jesus and have confessed him as my Lord and Savior. Before you turn this thing off and go find a real Christian podcast. But for real, God has done some incredible, undeniable work in my life, which we'll get into over the next few episodes, I hope. Here's a little more about my story. I grew up in a domestic abuse household, and my parents separated from when I was in the 5th to about 9th grade, and later got back together. Yes, it's complicated. I became a believer at 15 through my local church and youth group. I was the emo punk rock Christian. I was baptized in the ocean. I met my husband at 19 and brought him into the faith. Our close group of church friends, interestingly enough, encouraged us to break up immediately. We've been together for 20 years now. I lost my way in college, finishing up my degree, living with my husband before marriage, and pursuing a graduate degree. God brought me back to him not long after I entered the workforce. I became a mom after 10 years of marriage. I've been a teacher for the last 15 years. My parents currently live with me, my husband, and child. We take care of them financially. I've been a member at my church for the last year. But before that, we didn't go to church for years. On the whole, if I had to summarize the entirety of my Christian walk in one word, it would be this: inconsistent. There have been weeks, sometimes months, between Bible readings. I haven't read the Bible cover to cover since high school. Prayer happens sporadically. Sometimes I even forget what I was saying midway through. Alone time with Jesus sometimes happens in the 5 minutes when I dread getting out of the car for work. There are moments, usually in the summertime, when I am close to God and I'm journaling and I'm praying and I'm reading avidly every day. And then school starts and life gets busy and I get complacent. And even going to church on Sundays is hard, so I stop for a time. And in my head, I imagine all the angels and the saints in heaven looking at me in such utter disappointment and disgust, shaking their heads, saying, "Is this a life the blood of Christ paid for?" But then there's Jesus. In his mercy and grace, he responds. And the answer is always simply yes. So maybe you're wondering why a self-proclaimed bad Christian is writing and producing a faith-based podcast, and that's completely fair. And in the spirit of truth, here's the truth. I have no idea what I'm doing. But I do know that I cannot be the only one who feels like I am failing at faith. And maybe that's why what happened next felt so incredibly personal. About 2 weeks ago, I was listening to a Christian woman's podcast and feeling like, wow, God, I am definitely not that woman. Waking at 5 a.m., making my bed, drinking a glass of water before coffee, no less, and diving right into the Bible before readying my toddler for the day. And wouldn't you know, God clapped back immediately. No, you're not. You're that zebra in the snow. God is so good. So here's the context. There is an elusive zebra that lives in the backwoods of a neighboring town I sometimes pass through when traffic is lousy on my way to work. The first time I saw it, I thought I was dreaming. There was snow and ice everywhere, and I was nervous to take the back roads on that winter morning. So I was driving, and I saw a beautiful long white fence chasing the periphery of a lawn of pure white fresh snow. In the midst of the wonderfully unblemished blanket of white stood this zebra, completely out of place. For a second, it looked right at me in the quiet. It was the single most beautiful thing I never thought I'd ever see. A zebra in the snow. Flashback to me in the car talking with the Lord. His message was clear. Johanna, you are that thing out of place, like it doesn't belong. But that thing, placed by my hand on my timing against my backdrop, is breathtaking. So here I am, not that Christian woman, but starting a podcast even though I feel unequipped, unprepared, and frankly uncomfortable. Because, zebra in the snow, I see you. I am not an expert, a theologian, a ministry leader, or even a church volunteer, or greeter for that matter. In fact, as a teacher, mom, wife, and daughter, tired is my default. Why didn't anybody tell me this would happen? I have mastered the art of saying no to anything that requires more of me. But lately, I can hear God calling, wanting more than just the leftovers of my time. So I'm trying my best to say more no's to Netflix and to give Jesus more of my yeses. know that I'll fail. A lot. With consistency. Maybe you will too. That doesn't mean we stop trying. And just like he has a million times before, Jesus will be there, waiting for the seemingly weak but indispensable. So friends, my dashboard confessional moment: I'm a bad Christian, but I am called anyway. And I promise you are too.